Framing is a little off, but I'm not really too focused on that. This one's going to be kind of different. Obviously, the angle, the setup, the stuff in front of me, it's all kind of not something I've done before. But physically, in terms of what I'm actually going to be doing, is I'm going to be sharpening a few of our kitchen knives here. It's been a while since I've got them sharpened or sharpened them myself. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. We've been doing a lot of cooking. I've been doing a lot of cooking, and we've had a few barbecues, parties, get-togethers with family and friends in the past weeks. And yeah, just gotta treat my knives well. These don't look great. Please understand, I know that these do not look great. If you get a look at them, they're not looking too awesome. There have been issues with how they've been maintained by me and some people that have used them. So that's why the handles are looking a little busted, and you know, I also might not be doing these as properly as I should be when it comes to how I sharpen them and stuff. I don't want to say I'm doing my best, but I'm doing what I can. I guess you could call this an unprofessional video because I'm definitely no professional when it comes to sharpening knives and maintaining them, but I'm doing what I can do at least. But this is also weirder because I'm going to be talking while I do this, and I don't know why I'm deciding to talk about these kinds of things right now, but I'm going to, and this is going to be about, I think, mental health. Maybe mental and emotional health, really. And so, you know, if you have, I guess, sensitivity and trigger warnings to that, just be conscious of that. I'm not going to try to say anything that will trigger or offend anybody, but I do want to be honest about it. So anyways, I do have some tumbler items here to help me with my sharpening, and Tumbler being the brand. I'm going to go ahead and sharpen the tumbler knife that I got with it. So I still never really figured out the difference of using the 15 or the 20 degree side, but right now I am using the 15, and then you're going to use the tumbler roller on the not swirly smooth steel plated side. You're going to use it on the side with the grit, and I'm just going to go ahead and roll this back and forth. Now, you may not be a fan of that sound, but I totally love how that sounds. You know, when I first was using this, I thought you had to like roll this like this. I didn't realize that these individual sides rolled themselves, which also made it a lot more efficient and smooth to do the sharpening. I also don't really know how many times you're supposed to go back and forth, but I kind of just feel it out. So I'll just do it until my heart's content on it. Then I'll reverse it and hit the other side. And I usually do try to go back and forth all the way along the base to the point because I want to get the whole thing sharp. And realistically, I probably should do a better job of keeping an accurate count of how often I do one side to the next, because it's probably important that I should keep it balanced. But obviously I said I would do it by feel, so I'm absolutely not doing that. What I just did right now was switch sides to the swirled steel plated side to I guess clean off the grit, or sort of like smooth down the grit of what I did on the blade. If that is even the right terminology or makes sense, I could be wrong. So I haven't even really gone into it, but I just wanted to sort of explain, like, this is exactly how I'm going to go about doing each of these 4 knives. So that might be good. Typically what I'll do is I have the strap, it's just like a leather strap, and I'll sort of just guide it along and sort of, I don't really know exactly what I'm doing here, but I'm trying to, I guess, clean off the grit and sort of smooth off everything that was done. And then I guess People do this. I've seen it on TikToks, and they'll like do a sharpness test. I don't exactly know if that works, but I guess it does to an extent because I was able to cut the paper. So I will say that that's all done. And then sometimes too, like I'll just take a cloth. Right now I just have a napkin nearby, and I'll also wipe this down because some of the metal shavings and stuff will still be on there after I wipe it off on the strap. But I would say that at least for this particular knife, I should be good to go and use it. Just trying to get some paper off of that. So I'm going to switch off and get into one of my Henkel's knives right now. I'm still just going to stick with the 15 because I don't know why I wouldn't why I would switch it to the 20 yet. I haven't figured it out, so I'll stick to what I'm doing. But anyways, while this is happening, mental health. Very interesting and very real, serious subject. I feel like over the years, I'm going to have to talk louder over this sound. So if you like this sound, or if you like what I'm saying and want to listen to either or both, this is going to get somewhat complicated. I feel like mental health within the last, let's call it 8 to 12, 8 to 10 years has been very, very interesting, especially if you live here in the United States. The subject is been brought to light in many ways and oftentimes been neglected and ignored in many ways. But I think I want to talk more about my mental health and I think my mental health journey. And this is coming from someone who saw a therapist a few times when I was a kid because my parents just didn't kind of know how to deal with me. I was a very hyperactive kid, honestly. More than likely probably would have been diagnosed with ADD or a form of ADHD if my parents cared enough to want to get me, tested and looked at for things like that. But we'll never know why they. Well, I'm Filipino, so that's probably why they never bothered to look into that because mental health is just not something you deal with in the Philippines or in the Filipino culture, really. Anyways. I still haven't taken the time to get myself fully tested or diagnosed or whatever because in my opinion at this point I'm very content with who I am, whether I have some sort of form of ADD, ADHD or any other sort of mental diagnosis that is waiting to be discovered. But with that, I know that like I've suffered from like depression and things like that. I've had anger issues when I was growing up. Anger issues kind of run in my family, run in the bloodline. Depression, I don't know about that, but yeah, I definitely had depression when I was younger. When I look back on things I did, decisions I made, way I felt, you know, not to make light of it, but like I could have said like at times when I was younger in my high school days, a little after that, I was depressed to the point of, I wouldn't say being suicidal because I can admit that I don't have it in me to take my own life, nor do I have it in me to commit any sort of real, true physical harm on myself. But I will say, like, when I was at my worst, I think, with depression when I was younger, what I told my dad, who may have been at least a bit more sympathetic than my mom about the whole situation when it happened, when I was going through it, was that I don't really see myself preventing something from happening to me. If I was driving a car and I was going to lose control and I was going to get into an accident or something that could potentially end my life, I don't think I would do anything to stop it. That was what I told him. And I remember, let's see if this, we'll call that a success with sharpness on this Henkel's. Nice. I didn't see myself preventing myself from getting hurt or possibly killed, in a way that, like, isn't directly me just killing myself or harming myself. But anyways, I was able to get through it, and I don't really talk too much about that whole instance because the way I went through it, wow, this is a lot louder right now. The way I overcame it is very, very unique to me, and I honestly don't think it would help anybody because, disclaimer, with my story, when I was going through depression, I really like made mistakes. I really hurt a lot of my friends and family because I turned away from them. I got stuck in an MLM because I was looking for something to believe in. I was looking for people to believe in because I just didn't believe in myself. Put myself in a lot of debt. Put my faith in the things that I didn't really believe in, but I just needed something to believe in. And I did that for roughly a year. And one day I started to feel like I realized too, I wasn't living well because I was like an insomniac. I couldn't sleep at night. I wouldn't sleep until I could see daylight through cracking through my window blinds. And I felt kind of like, if you know the term, like a hikikomori, and it's a Japanese sort of term, and it's kind of someone like who's like stuck in their room. And even though I would go out and I would do this MLM shit and do these things, like when I was home, that's how I felt. I felt like I wanted darkness all around me, but I was uncomfortable in darkness because I couldn't sleep until I saw light. But anyways, I was stuck watching TV and just couldn't do anything really productive with myself. And then one day, like a year of doing this stuff to myself, I just started thinking as I laid in bed, and I just had nothing to watch at the time, and I was just lying there, and I just thought to myself, why are you here? Why are you here if you're not going to do anything? You're wasting away. You've been wasting away. Everything you had, everything you loved, you are thrown away, pushed away, angered, hurt, ignored, and right now you're alone. I went from living with my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, because I came crawling back to pick up the pieces of my life to her after that year was done. But I came crawling back. But I left her. I abandoned her and her family. I ended up living back home with my parents at the time, and I wasn't doing anything good for myself. I wasn't making money, which at the time I guess wasn't as important as me just trying to get my life back together. But I just kept thinking to myself, why did I do this? And it came to an idea about, like, I was having real issues with self-worth and imposter syndrome and whether or not I was where I was supposed to be or deserved where I was supposed to be. So that's how I ended up in this hole. And then even more so, I'm just like, well, why am I still doing this? Because it's not getting me to where I want to be. I realized I'm not even acting like who I am. I'm trying to fit a mold that doesn't fit me. And for what? For who? Who is this benefiting? And the thing that got me out of my rut was I needed to stop trying to be somebody. And it's like the worst thing I could ever tell myself, but the most real thing in the world. And that's what broke me out of it and got me fighting to be me again, which was, you're not special. The moment I told myself that I wasn't special was the day I became me again. Or at least I became on the path to getting to an ideal version of who I am. The most realist version of who I am, which I think is kind of where I'm at right now. But I had to say, you're not special. I had to tell myself, be okay with not being special. Because that doesn't mean you don't matter. And that was it. And then I really haven't dealt with any sort of, I think, real depressive moments until my mom started really having to battle with dementia. And dementia doesn't just affect the individual, it affects everyone around them. And I think that's when I started to deal with, I don't know if it was really depression, but there was definitely things going on with me and, all my loved ones. But I was, I'm my mom's only son, only child, and it became my responsibility to care for her. And that's a whole other thing. But that's the next time I think I really started to feel these kinds of emotions and issues pop up again. She has since passed, and things have gotten, you know, that's a whole other bout of like sadness and things like that. But I wouldn't call it depression up until now. And I haven't really thought about it much up until this week. And maybe it does coincide with different things like my grandmother's passing, and my mom's 1 year anniversary is passing, is coming up. And I talked about it when I started the other channel, and I've sort of taken a break on this because I'm stuck on talking. But I was let go unexpectedly without warning from my previous job, and it was the first time in my life I had been let go and didn't have anything ready. And I'm going on 6 months now without a steady source of income. And I've done, I am doing, I'm unsuccessfully, unprofessionally doing my YouTube. I am unsuccessfully, unprofessionally doing photography on my Instagram and things like that. And I am unsuccessfully looking at jobs. And I've had this conversation with people, my wife, that if it really just came down to having a job, I can get a job. I know that, but I'm looking for stuff with hopefully more stability, something to help with, a career or growing or there's growth in the future, or stuff for growth in retirement, because I have to look towards the future because, I have a wife, I have a dog, we're renting our house, but still we have a home. And one day we want to be parents, maybe sooner than later. And I think I'm depressed. I feel like I'm depressed if I really break it down, because I feel inadequate. I don't feel like I need to be somebody. I'm not dealing with that shit again, but I don't feel like I am enough because it's been almost half a year and I don't have a job. I don't have a way to provide and support the people that matter to me. And a lot of my other previous ventures are ventures that weren't necessarily handed to me, but they were introduced and provided to me by friends, my wife's friends, and people we knew. They helped me get my foot in the door, and no one should be ever, upset that like they had help. But right now, without help, and me doing it a lot in a sense on my own, without these connections, really, it's like getting nowhere. And I also recognize, like, I have to be honest, this is the worst time for me to be looking for a career, looking for a job, because everyone is getting let go. It is a depressing time for people who are looking for jobs and losing jobs. So I understand that I also got let go at one of the worst times in U.S. history to be looking for a job. Like, I live in California. Like, it is a shit show for people looking for jobs. And I recognize that. But that doesn't make it any easier for me to think, damn, I'm making no grounds here. And I think, when I consider also wanting to be able to provide for my family and the future family that we are trying to have, I am like, I can't do it. So I try to make up for things where I can, where it's like, I've become a house husband. And that's ideal for me. I would love to be that. I would love to be a home husband who cares for the house and cares for the children, because being a dad is the one thing I want more than anything. I grew up with a neglectful dad, and I would love to be anything but that. But right now, I'm struggling. Like probably a bunch of people are in the world, especially when you consider the people who are losing family members to, you know, different things happening in the world thanks to the government or whatever. I don't want to turn this into a whole other thing about that, but it is a rough freaking time. It is a time that is mentally and emotionally devastating to people. And this is just me talking about my own. And how shitty it is to feel this way. And how important it is for people to talk about it and bring it up to their loved ones specifically. Because if your loved ones don't know you need help, or at least to be heard, and they don't know that anything is wrong, it hurts them too. Oh shoot, my stomach. Well, that's embarrassing. I'm over here trying to be real, and my stomach is growling. My apologies about that. Let me finish this knife. Gather some more thoughts. I always did the sort of like maintenance on these and whatnot. So this isn't like me doing a house husband sort of thing. It's just, I just want to be able to do what I can, and I am. I do the laundry, I do the cleaning as much as I can, and I do the cooking, and that's actually been a real blessing because I've rediscovered a love and passion for cooking. Oh, this one might not be. That kind of tore. Ooh, I think I'm gonna have to hit this one again. That is not cutting well. I just want to help where I can. You know, I have my savings, I have investments, so we're okay. I'm still able to contribute my parts on bills and all that, but you know, still, it doesn't feel good to know I don't have a real consistent way to provide financially. And that's not all that matters. My wife is amazing. She works so hard. It is my pleasure to do what I do to help in any way that I can. And she is, even when I was at my previous position and making really good money, she was still the breadwinner. I'm so proud of that. And we are fine under her pay. We'd have to drastically change things in our lives if, you know, we reach that point where I run out of my savings that I'm currently using to live off of and support on my part. But I know we can't live like this forever. And I guess part of the thing too is I didn't know I'd be going on damn near half a year without a job, without really any leads, without knowing when I'd be able to be helpful. Man, not looking great. Not looking great on this knife, unfortunately. Yep. Wow. Even with that, it is not cutting. Maybe this is an instance where I switch it to 20. Let's see. I really don't know right now. I'm a little just like it's not working. So let's try it again. So I switched from the 15 degree to the 20 degree just to see if it'll make any sort of difference on how that's cutting, because this knife is not cutting through the paper. Once again, this also goes back to me not being really sure of what I'm doing. Instead of like rolling the tumbler or using the strap, like I don't know what exactly. If, like I said, if I'm supposed to be doing things a little bit differently. There we go. Once I got through that one, it was better, but let me grab a fresh piece of paper. Let's see. There we go. All right, so you know what? I'll take that advice, and this is pretty much the exact same knife, just larger as the one I just sharpened. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just run it through the 20 degree and hopefully not have any issues. But you know, before I get into this last knife, because I'm probably gonna try to wrap this up once this knife is done, I feel for anyone that is in similar positions, has been in similar positions, is currently dealing with what, you know, I'm going through internally. You know, whether it's a financial thing or a pride thing, I don't really know, but it's hard. It's really hard out there right now for various reasons. It's hard to feel inadequate, especially when you feel like you can't afford to be. And I'm really struggling with that right now. I know when I talk to my wife, I know she would never say I'm inadequate. She would hype me up, and I know she's right. But you know, it's hard when you're still thinking along the lines of, but I still don't have a job. I still don't have a way to do more for us and our family. And I still don't know when I'm going to be able to. That's when it just weighs on you over and over again each day. And you know, like I said, I really started thinking about it this past week, honestly, because I really started to feel like it's getting harder to go about each day, because I don't understand what's my purpose, because I just feel so useless. Even though I'm not, I'm feeling that. I'm feeling useless. I'm feeling worthless. And it's just me making myself feel like that because of the circumstances I'm in. Even though I know I can get myself out of it, I know I'm going to get myself out of it, I can't help that while I'm in it, sitting in this reality right now, I feel just sad. And God, do I need a win. I think everybody could use a win in their own personal lives, in whatever way that might mean. It's not to say, though, like, things are bad. A lot of great things are happening. A lot of great times are being had, and we're happy. Like, we are happy. I'm just fucked up right now because I'm scared. I'm terrified that this is what I am. Like, I'm not good enough to get my own job. Even though I've done it before. Even though, like, I had friends help me get an interview or a foot in the door, and that probably helped make it easier for them to say yes, I still had to do the interviews. I still had to do the work once I got there. But then again, I got let go from my most recent job. Not to say though, like there was an agenda when I realized that I was going to be let go no matter what. No matter what, I could have been the best employee they've ever had, and I was going to get let go. Thankfully, like I still have friends in the company who were honest with me when I was let go. Um, like I know I'm good enough. I just don't feel it yet. This is also just really like fun to do. It's very relaxing. In a weird way, it's kind of therapeutic to do this. Just the motion. I personally love the sound of doing that too. So, like, this is actually very therapeutic and soothing. Sharpening these knives. All right, let's see. Did I make? Come on. I feel confident about that. There we go. Yeah. There we go. 4 knives, sharpened. Damn. Sharpened my knives. They're good for cooking, which is good because I might be doing some cooking later today. Thanks for letting me do that and ranting for a bit. For anyone out there who is dealing with any sort of mental health issues, it's really hard to talk about it. It took me a lot of thinking and willpower to do this. I've been wanting to do this for days. And even today, I was going to neglect it again because I just wasn't sure if I could. And yeah, I did it. And here I am. And I'm going to post it today. That's my plan. And yeah. I've learned to not just expect things. So I don't expect anything from this. But if there are people who are going to watch it and watch the whole thing, I hope you get something out of it. I hope you talk to somebody, because that's also really hard. It doesn't always help. But I feel like despite what I've done in the past, I feel like this situation is different, and I don't think I'll be able to get through it on my own. Another one is, you may think you're acting normal, but the people closest to you will know that you aren't. They just may not know how to talk to you about it. They might be waiting for you to talk to them about it because they're not sure how to go about it. And then, too, if they do ask, how are you? That might be how they're trying to get you to open up to them, or hoping for you to open up to them. And when we say, oh, we're fine, I'm okay, everything's normal, or no, I'm good, no worries, like nothing's going on, everything's the same, everything's fine. They might not push it because they don't know what to do, they might actually take it to heart and think, oh, okay, then you are good. Because we don't want to worry them with, things that my wife is dealing with right now. I try not to put anything on her, but I also know it does hurt the people you love when you don't reach out to them. Because if anything were to happen to you, they'll blame themselves for not being able to help you. They'll blame themselves for wondering why you didn't reach out at all. They'll think you didn't trust them. They'll think they were, I don't know, unworthy of your confidence. My hands are kind of like shaking as I'm wrapping this up. Well, I really want to end this on something more lighthearted, and I have no idea how. So I'll go and focus on the other half of things that I was doing, sort of. If you were interested in how I used, or like how I sharpen my knives, it's just Tumblr. Got my stuff off Amazon. Got this set of stuff off Amazon. There's a few different variations of these like rolling sharpener things for knives. I'm not going to say this is the best way. This is just what we got. This is what I have, and I enjoy it. I think I just enjoy the process and the method of using it for these knives. But use whatever you want. But if you are interested, yep, mine is Tumblr. There are other brands, exact same thing. There are cheaper brands. This Tumblr stuff was way more expensive than I would care to admit. But yeah, and I also want to say, like, it is important to maintain your knives because a dull knife is very dangerous to use. A dull knife in the kitchen is not something you want. You should always be maintaining that. So I was a little neglectful enough. Luckily, they were still sharp enough, but I could have caused some issues if I did not have my knives fully ready to go as they are now. I do just need to sort of clean them off. Make sure there's no residual shavings on any of these. Should be pretty good. Looking pretty good now. Alright. Well, once again, thanks to everybody for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. When I was working for Disney, we used to say, have a magical day. I don't think I can say that because of trademark issues, even though I just said it, but just have a good day. I really don't know what else to say. I gotta cut this off.